Welcome back to episode 2 of Distant Nights. This is our Starships and Laserguns campaign set in an alpha build that is something 0.7.6 build 7, I think. It's the tabletop role-playing game that Angel Dice, well, basically me, I am writing, and this is kind of our test game, but it's also, hopefully, gonna be good. Where we left off last time, the group had set out as part of the crew of the ACSS 4 Adventure, an exploration ship, part of a fleet led by the ACSS 5 Distant Nights, in search of answers about the mysterious disappearance and message that were received about the ACSS 3 Distant Suns, I think. And arriving at the rendezvous point a few hours after they had departed in deep space, only their ship and the Distant Nights herself showed up. The rest of their small exploration fleet has been gone missing. They appear to have found a distress beacon orbiting a planet after some careful triangulation. They set down a little beacon and they've just headed on down to the surface. We do, however, have a little intro video that we're going to roll about now, because that seems like about the right time to do it. I'm rolling that anyway. We will be back with you in a moment. 164 hours, 32 minutes and 53 seconds after the ACS Level 4 cartographic vessel Distant Suns failed to return to Ignis Prime Deep Space Starport, the following message was received.
This is the captain of the ACS Distant Suns. We found something up there. It's a ship of some kind, but it's bigger than anything I've ever seen. It looks organic, but I think it's a starship. Getting closer to investigate. Wish us luck.
Critical engine failure detected. Shields offline. Critical power plant failure detected. Critical life support failure detected. Mayday, Mayday. This is the automated distress beacon of the ACS-4 Distant Suns. Mayday, Mayday. This is the automated distress beacon of the ACS-4 Distant Suns. Mayday, Mayday. This is the automated distress beacon.
Nearly 6 months later, the Distant Nights, a Level 5 ACS vessel, launches from Ignis Prime as the flagship of a small fleet in search of answers. The ACSS Adventure, a Level 4 cartographic ship, finds herself one such vessel among the gathering fleet as they await the signal to depart. Welcome back. So, yeah, there were a few audio issues with the video last time. Unfortunately, some of the audio was the wrong levels, so hopefully that should be fixed this time, because I tried to go through and fix it. So, we are unfortunately without a Jerry today, due to something, personal reasons, by the look of it. So,
he did not specify.
He didn't. So, unfortunately, we will not be having Leodanikeriath, which I think is how you say it. I'm still entirely uncertain on this.
I am totally fine with that. That means I don't have to pronounce that long-ass name every time, because Jesus Christ.
I'm going to close my window, because there are birds outside being very loud.
I come from you then.
Unfortunately, it is extremely warm up in the rainy part of England at the moment for no reason, which is why I want the window open.
Oh, it's fucking lovely up here in Edinburgh. Absolutely lovely.
Lovely and skin-meltingly overly hot. Same thing. So, where we left off, you guys had made your way down onto the surface of the planet. You were, you'd found a jungle and you begin heading out. As you do so, Leodanikeriath begins to look around through some of the native flora and fauna and begins taking a few samples that he says he wants to inspect, and he's going to take some time. He begins setting up a few pieces of equipment, getting out a data pad, start scanning things, and he says he'll just stick by the ship for now.
It's fine by me.
You guys get a read on the, well, you have a read on the, what do you call it, the distress beacon that you picked up from the where is it? The ACSS 3 Victurion, and it is sort of deeper into the jungle slash forest sort of area that you guys are heading into, and we have just hit the technical difficulties as Charlissandra has just dropped out because Discord's playing up. We're gonna just pause
hang
here
on.
and we'll be right back with you. And we're back. So, yeah, what are you guys going to do then? Are you going to head on in the forest? Are you going to stick with Leodanikeriath? Are you going to... What are you guys...
We're
what do you
gonna
do?
stick with Leodanikeriath because we don't want anything to happen. Now let's go find this ship, shall we? That's what we're here for.
Yeah. I think we just need to go slowly, but yeah, just sort of head back.
Slowly, be on our guard. It's
Yeah.
only a kilometer. We'll just head in that general direction. Gonna take us what,
Yeah.
half an hour,
Something like that.
depending on how dense this shit is.
It starts off pretty dense, but as you begin getting away from the edge of the water that you guys had sort of parked kind of quite close to, landed, not parked, quite close to, it quickly begins to drop off in sort of the density and foliage, and you begin getting a bit more space between the trees, a bit more sort of grass type stuff, and movement quickly becomes a bit easier. As you walk for a good sort of half hour or so, and after a while you begin seeing sort of flashes of what you can kind of guess to be the metal of the hull of a ship through the trees and that kind of stuff, as you see this sort of bright white metal. It's twisted, torn, and the dirt covering it, and scratches, and you even see a few vines growing over it and that kind of stuff. You still getting the reading on your beacon that's saying that this is the ACSS 3 Victurion, and as you keep heading up to it, why don't you guys make me some perception checks?
I am on the job. If roll 20 actually rolls dice.
6.
Oh, fuck.
Do you have flat perception?
I have a +3 in perception.
Okay, so that's 9. You didn't add your +3.
Ah,
I got 11
Uh,
after taking literally an age to roll.
You have... Is it you, or... Oh no, it's... Who is it that has perceptive vision?
Not me.
I do.
Gav, there is a stat roll thing, macro.
why do I have a 0 in logic? I don't really
Please
have a
use
0
it.
in logic.
So that's an anti-crit, at 15, and also Gav, you have advantage.
Yes, I'll roll
I
the
know, I do
second
have a
one
zero.
with the way you like it.
And I
So
See,
prefer
it's
using...
better if I roll them normally.
No, it's better if you use the macro, because that way it separates it out nicely.
Now, see, if I roll normally, I get higher rolls.
It's better if you use the macro, because you get lower rolls, and I prefer that.
that's a 16 per Gav, is it?
Smoked out before.
15.
Yeah, but it's got a 10.
The macro is sabotage.
It also has a
Maybe
1, and for an anti-crit, which is what that is, they cancel each other out, I do believe.
Do they? Alright.
I can...
Dude, you make the rules. The rules. You should know this.
There is quite a lot of rules, in case you weren't aware.
Yeah.
I can look
I know.
this
I'm just
up.
giving you crap.
I should probably open the rulebook. Give me a moment.
I don't have
Yeah,
to.
mate. Let's just go
Fine.
on. What's 2 points gonna make of a difference? Oh wait.
Good, good.
Don't
No,
worry, you just completely missed the ambush that's coming for us. Like,
yeah, so I need you
See,
all to
here's
make
the thing.
dexterity saves to avoid 46,000 points of damage as the starship ambushes you.
fuck.
Cock.
Right, let's see if I can hide, not hide, minimize, there we go. Sorry, I'm attempting to use a quarter of a screen that's halfway across the room to bring up rules books. This isn't working, let's just full screen that. Okay, and then where is it? Criticals, anti-critical. Yes, they cancel out. It's always worth checking these
Shame.
things, because I'd rather spend a little bit more time checking things and making sure that I'm playing the system correctly, if that makes sense, you know?
Yep.
So, that is a 15, 11, and a 9. Let's see. With a 9 and an 11, Charlissandra and Lexie, you two both see that the hull of the ship, it does appear to be pretty torn, pretty damaged. It appears as though the ship impacted at speed and from quite a steep angle. You can see bits of plant life and dirt and rocks and stuff that appear to have been sort of thrown up more from an impact than from a glancing sort of scraping landing. There does appear to be some plant life that's already started growing over it. In fact, the entire place seems pretty overgrown, almost as though it's been there for a really long time.
Can I work out how long it's been there for?
One moment. With a 15, Johnny. Go ahead and roll me general knowledge plus starships, I'd say, to try and work out.
General knowledge plus starships. Oh yes, please.
That will be, yeah, general knowledge, and then just add your starships to your successes, I suppose, to try and work out.
I'll add starships to my successes.
Or just add starship. It doesn't really matter where you add it; it'll do the same thing.
Like, I just add it to the target.
Sure.
Because that's easy, and also that means I succeed by default. Wait, hold on! Did I just crit?
Yeah.
No, because there's no crits on knowledges.
I
Rip.
still appreciate the fact that I rolled a 1 on literally the one knowledge test. I have a 10 in. Well, I had a 10 in.
Nice. So, that's 9 degrees of success. That means that as you are looking at this, you can, the more you're looking at it, you can try and work out what kind of ship this is. And you take a moment to sort of basically compare it mentally, try and put the pieces back together and work out what it could have been. And the more you think about it, the more this looks somewhat like a CE ship, critical engineering. You looking at some of the designs, you can you recognise them, and it has this large thruster assembly at the rear end, and it appears to have 2 sort of smaller wings that appear broken off. And then you managed to click mentally putting it back together. This was probably a CE-04 class light freighter. It's a small ship, can house up to 4 people, has a pretty small cargo hold, got a relatively good jump range. They're quite commonly converted into ACS ships. They have very large engines.
How many people do you say?
Up to 4. They've got up to 4 bunks, but they usually have less than that as a crew. Usually only 2 or 3.
Okay.
Quite often 1 as well, but explorers tend to you very rarely find a single explorer on their own. For the ACS, you usually get 2 or 3 people.
That'd be boring.
It's also dangerous. But yes.
Is there any sort of signs of how long they've been there for?
Ooh.
Yeah.
That would be
check or-
survival check, I think.
Can I
I
go
would also like
intelligence?
to roll that.
I'm not gonna try rolling that.
Can I try intelligence instead, so I don't have a -2?
It's
Okay, whatever,
more
fuck it.
survival because you're looking at the nature and
9.
the plant life and stuff.
I have a +2 to this one. Wow, flat.
9, 7, and 12. Okay, Johnny, you somehow rolled your passive. And the rest of you rolled under passive, I think.
I got a -4.
No, you
think
guys rolled
I'm
one above your passive, and he rolled his passive. So, as you look at this, it's really hard to say. You don't know this area. You don't know what the plant life here is, how fast it grows, that kind of stuff. It could kind of be anything, but at the same time...
What about the ship itself, though? Like, from the rain, wind, erosion, effectively.
Ships don't tend to erode much for a very significant amount of time. And when they do, it is very slow. You can't really tell that much based on the ship. You can leave these things on a seabed for 100 years and it'll probably come out looking pretty much brand new.
Okay, Gucci.
It would
Well,
just be covered in stuff if you left it there. Like,
I'll just look over at the others. Wanna go have a look around the place, see if we find any tracks of the crew? If they made it out at all.
Yeah.
Sure thing.
go up to the main sort of hatch and try and open it?
So,
I'm gonna take a look around outside for tracks first, actually. Also, keep an eye out for any wildlife.
okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to roll a perception looking for wildlife then?
Sure.
And at the ship? To look on the outside then. Let me just...
For me or
Oh damn!
why don't both of you roll it?
There we go. That's for wildlife. Ooh,
Right.
2 19s.
Ooh, nice.
Can I
11. I
Can I-
can roll for shit tonight.
can I
Nice.
keep a bit stealthy?
Yeah, go ahead and roll stealth. Let me... Sorry, I'm just trying to pull up a character sheet. Where is print... Character sheet version 2, print only, release, print version. There we go. So that I can look at stats. Because there's quite a lot of them. And that's an 18 on your stealth, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, are you rolling perception to have a look?
Oh yeah, of course.
And I should also really bring up, because I have a render of the CEO 4 class ship, so I might as well.
Ooh, hit me up.
You've all seen it before. It's the one that
Well,
is... It's actually in the intro video. It is pretty much the one that's on the
Is the-
logo and all that kind of stuff. It's all over the place.
Is the cockpit at the front? No.
Yes. It is a
Oh,
big,
the cockpit is
big
at the
glass
front.
window at the front. Well, not glass, but a big, huge, effectively transparent window at the front.
Well, those guys are
Frozen
dead.
Okay, right, let me... Where the crap is it? This is real professional, of course, because only the most professional of Googling things mid-session. Add Windows noises because I accidentally clicked buttons on my mouse.
Wow.
Good. Sorry, with an 18, an 18 on stealth, you think you're doing pretty well. You get a rough idea of how you stealth. You don't know your exact numbers, of course. But you don't think anyone can see you. You don't see anyone to see you, but you're being stealthy. You're being deliberately as hidden as you can. There we go, I've got the render up. It's
I
now
wave
on
at
screen.
him.
Her.
Her, right.
There we go, so the render's now on screen if you look. Not of it destroyed, just of it rotating, because that's what I have. With a... So what have we got? Perceptions? 11, 14, and 19. So, with an 11, Lexie, you
I'm
find...
mainly finding the entrance, yeah.
Okay, with an 11, you do find the entrance. The 04 Light Freighter has landing gear on the bottom that extend out, and it appears to have both a boarding ramp and a docking hatch on the bottom.
Yeah.
The underside of the ship is pretty much a wall at the moment, because the ship is effectively nosedived straight in. The two like wing things on the side with thrusters on them appear to have snapped off and have fallen to the ground. Their joints kind of exposed, and there's still a few sparks sparking off them. And the front of the ship seems kind of crumpled, but it doesn't appear as damaged as you'd expect if it had like actually flown into this at full speed. So maybe they attempted to slow down or something.
Aye.
There's some crumpling, but it's not completely destroyed. But it does appear that the ship has effectively javelined itself into the floor and is sticking out almost like if you were to throw a javelin into the ground.
Could I parkour up to the docking hatch?
You can certainly try, but give me a moment.
Yep.
With 14 on perception, Charlissandra, what exactly are you looking for?
Points of entry also, and just clues around the ship, I guess.
Okay. You find the one entrance, or the two entrances. They appear to be right next to each other. You don't really see anything else about the ship. Again, as I say, there's lots of vines and things that appear to be sort of crawling over the ship, reaching all the way up to the thruster assembly at the back, huge big engines, and wrapping over them and everything like that. The docking hatch does appear to be open, and you also notice further up a much larger door that appears to be some kind of cargo bay door in the underside. Not huge, but significantly bigger than the other two. And Johnny with a 19. And
Yes.
you're also keeping an eye out for wildlife, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, you also notice all of that. You do see a few interesting looking creatures, the kind of things that clearly Leodanikeriath had his eye on when he said he wanted to stay behind, because you see a few things that fly through the treetop with 3, sometimes 4 wings. It's a bit strange. You see
Wait,
a few
3 pairs of wings or 3 wings?
both. You see a few creatures that appear to have multiple arms, especially odd numbers of arms, which is quite rare, but you do see that. You see a few creatures that sort of scuttling along the ground. You even see something that appears to just sort of float by. It doesn't really appear to have any form of propulsion. Looks kind of like a jellyfish, but it just sort of floats past. You just sort of catch it at the side of your own. The hell? And it just kind of like a jellyfish in water, just sort of squids on by. With long sort of some kind of long tendrily thing that's trailing behind it.
Okay.
Right.
So you want to parkour up to the entrance.
Yeah. Would that be dexterity?
That would be an agility check.
Fuck. Agility, not quite as good. 17?
17, yeah. It's not too far off the ground because it is kind of slightly far back. It's not too bad. But you manage to sort of make your way up there relatively easily. I actually have an
Okay.
internal layout for this ship. Let me find it.
Is the cargo hatch open? Oh, sorry, airlock open, or do I need to open it up somehow myself?
It does appear to be open. As you get in, the ship is, it kind of, as I say, it's in an interesting state of being kind of upside down, or not upside down, on its nose, and so, and there I've sent you the picture that is the inside of the ship. So as you can see here, as you, which is on screen for anyone watching, so. Number 3 here, that's the boarding ramp / docking tube. It's that one hatch that is open. It appears to be sort of not fully retracted into the walls or floor of the ship, as you'd expect when opening properly. It appears that someone has opened this manually, and there is nothing holding it closed at the moment. The inside of the ship is pretty much just as much of a wreck as you'd expect it. There's stuff all over what is effectively the wall that you're stood on. There are bits and pieces that appear to have fallen through the door, which is a few meters above you. About 3 meters above you. No, not 3 meters above you, sorry. About 12 meters. Hang on. That would be...
There's something above me, that's all I need to know.
Yeah, it's the door. Sorry, I'm trying to think the scale, and I do actually have this map somewhere. Because this map was used in the very first Starships and Laserguns game, and I could open it up
Yeah, I
and
was thinking it
check
was.
the scale. It was, yeah, it was the ship you guys used. It was one of these. Lowest being from the original crew, and it was about let's go with 8 meters above from that room. 3 is about 8 meters length, which is currently height because of the way it is stacked.
Yeah. Is there any sort of computer or anything in nearby that I know of to try and get access to open doors and close doors if they're if they need to?
There is one that is on the effectively what is now the floor. It's built into the wall, but it does appear to be deactivated, and there's like cracks spidering across the screen. But it's just dark.
And that flow is gone.
Have we just lost? Are you kidding me?
Rip.
Nope.
Discord is
Oh, it's just
really
about to ask
having a moment.
Lexie something too.
Yeah, Discord's just having a moment. We will be right back with you. Okay, welcome back. This will all be edited together, so don't worry about it. So, yeah, as I say, there's this computer sort of screen on the floor with cracks spidering across it, kind of like a cobweb sort of pattern, as if something's impacted off to one side of the centre of it, and it appears to be just completely dark.
Do I see what's impacted?
You don't see anything.
Alright. Okay, let's can Can I get up to the door to have a wee look up there?
The ramp, the boarding ramp, appears to have sort of grates in it that are quite big. You might be able to use that kind of like a ladder to get up there.
Yeah.
But there will be an athletics check. That would be easy enough to climb. There would be an athletics check involved in sort of leaping from there onto the to grab hold of the edge of the door and pull yourself up if you wanted to.
And I can't use Dex for that either, can I?
No, that would be acrobatics.
So agility is that, or is there an actual?
Agility, yeah, sorry.
13? Sorry, 14.
Yeah, that'll do. So you manage to make your way up the sort of ramp, using it a bit of a ladder. It's not ideal, but it's easy enough to do. And then sort of throw yourself sideways and grab onto the edge of the door. You swing for a bit, trying to steady yourself, and you can look up. As you look up, you see there are a number of cargo containers, very small sort of cargo containers, piled against and leaning quite dangerously over the edge of what's listed on here is room 5 of what appears to be a cargo bay. You can see the other side of this cargo door. It's just all the cargo containers. It looks, if you were to shake the ship particularly much at all, or really disturb these, they all might fall out on you.
Yo, Lexie, anyone in there?
You also
Not that I've seen yet.
You think anyone gone out?
Don't know. But there's cargo here.
You see a number of things. What are they called? The dorm rooms, as they're listed here, number 6, appear to have all of their doors are open, and there's a few sort of things that appear like pieces of cloth and personal items, that kind of stuff that's leaning out, and it appears a lot of stuff's fallen down. You can see quite a few just bits and pieces have fallen onto the walls next to you, and it appears that the ship's kind of in a bit of a wreck at the moment, because it is a wreck.
If they are here, they left in a very big hurry. They've left all the personal items.
I'm gonna try and get index my way into the ship as well.
Before you do that,
Agility.
can I do one thing?
Go for it.
Can I jump onto effectively the wall for 4 on the other side of the door?
Yeah, so,
And
what's your strength?
4.
14. Yeah, so you passively use your passive strength, that's fine. You can just pull yourself up onto the sort of the wall and just where 3 is, and you can actually just walk around because it's an arch. There's a small ledge, it's not big, but there is a bit of a ledge, and you can just walk around from the wall that you're currently hanging onto, which is 3. Just walk around over the top to 4.
Could I now do something very stupid and try and hit the cargo with my nightmare, like the scythe, to try and get it to fall? So when it falls, it doesn't fall on me.
It is a couple of meters away. You wouldn't be able to reach it from there.
Fine then, I shoot it. See what happens.
Okay, what gun do you
Bring
have?
it over. I've got. Because of the range, I'll probably use a pistol.
Okay, which pistol?
T5.
Type 5. Hot muzzle blaster pistol. Okay. Are you gonna warn?
I will tell. I'll warn Johnny not to come in, and that I'm about to do something stupid.
Johnny?
Right. How stupid?
Very.
Don't get yourself killed and I'll walk away from the ship.
Okay. So Johnny and Charlissandra sort of both take a step back, at which point you pull up your pistol. Go ahead and...
How many shots could I make with it in a round?
Technically you can make 1 attack action. I would have to check the wording on the pistol itself, which I will do. 1 moment to see what firing modes it has, because that might make a difference.
Because I want to try and fan the hammer and just sort of like do 4 shots or some bullshit.
You can do a 3-shot burst.
Yeah, I'll do a 3-shot burst.
Okay.
Just sort of.
Let me,
Would that just be simple aim sort of things?
Sorry.
So I assume you'll take 3 aim actions, because you can do that,
Yeah.
so you get a +3. Okay, so let's
A
see.
plus 3. Okay, so
2d10.
my aims.
You have the skill, yeah, for sidearms.
Yes.
Okay, so 2d10 plus the weapons attack modifier, which in this case is plus 1.
1.
Plus... Oh, that's the wrong one. That's... Okay. Plus 3, so that's 4. Plus the range modifier. The range for this will be... it is a pistol that is... It'll be 0.
I think we lost Gav.
No,
Yeah.
Oh,
no?
wait,
Oh,
who
okay.
joined then?
Rue.
Oh,
I don't see Brew anywhere.
He
So-
left.
he's left.
Oh, okay.
It's just 1 plus.
So you got
3
1
plus
plus 3
my
plus
aim.
plus your aim plus right, firing mode attack modifier. I think you get a negative for 3-shot burst. Oh no, that's the one that doesn't give you a modifier. So plus 4 plus your aim.
Yeah.
Guns in this game are a nightmare to fire. It's tactical.
So
15. Okay, 15 hits. And 15 hits with... No, you just roll once.
oh, do I roll one? I thought I rolled once for each
No,
one
so-
of the 3 shots.
So the way it works is you roll once, and basically it's not meet or beat AC, like D&D. With this, you roll, and it depends how high you roll as to how many of your shots will hit. So if you roll, I think for 3-shot burst, it is... let me see. It takes 3 ammo, and you need 3 degrees of success, which means you have to beat it by 3 to hit every single hit. Which you do, because the AC is 10. The defense, technically, is 10. So you get 5 degrees of success, you've only got max 3 shots, so mark off basically 3 ammunition, which is somewhere. And you get... yeah, all 3 hit. Now, the damage, which you do roll separately, is
Is
1d4 over 2.
divided by 2.
Yes.
So 3d4 because it's 3 shots, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No.
So it's 3d4 over 2.
There we go. So 8,
8.
so 4.
It's a 4. Okay, nice. So let me just roll something to check what's in the container. Yeah, let's roll by
What's
category.
the clip size for a pistol?
You're using a small plasma canister. It's measured in contents of the canister, and that is somewhere in the rulebook. I think they use... Actually, it's in my little notebook here, because I did the maths in it. Let me pull it up.
True professionals.
True professionals.
True
Always.
professionals, we know all the rules. All of
So
them.
effectively, you
So
get
good.
12 shots from that, and you've just used 3. So because
Okay.
at the capacity of a small plasma canister, are you using small or using extended?
Extended.
Right, the extended I think is 2 times for 3 times the price.
Yeah, I've got 20 of them. That's fine.
Oh my god. Okay, so you have so you would have 24 shots and you're 3 down. Because
So I'm 21 out of 24.
yes, just mark that down onto your notes or something on the character sheet.
Yeah, I've done that.
Okay.
This is to be a pain because I've forgot to transfer my stuff over from my other computer.
Oh.
So
Oof.
I've got some stuff, but not everything.
Yeah.
Ouch.
My notes have gone missing. Luckily, I know all of by heart because we're only 1 session in, but I can't find my notes. I'm gonna have to rewrite everything. once
That's
the
why I
last
keep
episode-
everything in the cloud.
Yeah, I mean, all my notes for like Aftermath and V&V are all there. I don't know what happened to these ones. I do actually need to back up. Anyway, so and I rolled a 2 on that die and this die, which is a d20 to see what's in it. 11. Okay. So, oh god, and this is plasma. So you fire off at the crate. The first shot hits it, and as it does, the crate sort of rocks a bit. Not as much as you'd hope. With plasma, it doesn't particularly carry much of a kick to it, but it does definitely burn away at it. And as it does, you see the sort of metal of the crate begin to melt and char. These things are not designed to take any kind of a hit. They're just there as a container. On the inside, you see a sort of a shiny interior that quickly burns away with the second shot. And as it does, this sort of stream of water begins pouring out. The third shot hits that and it evaporates a sort of small section of the stream of water. And so you get whoosh, and then whoosh, as this sort of torrent of water starts pouring out of this hole that you've created in the container. As you do so, as it does so even, the container begins to sort of teeter forwards slowly as the water begins emptying it from it, changing the weight in it, and you see it begin slowly tipping forward. And after a moment...
I take a big step back.
Okay.
Out the way.
The door for number 4 is closed, so you can step on that if you want.
Yeah. Yeah, I will.
And that even appears to be locked. As you you sort of step back, as it does, the container sort of begins to sort of slide as it's sort of the grinding of the metal, and then it sort of clunk and falls pretty much onto the door next to 3, and then like landing straight, compressing itself by about 3 inches, and then tilting over and falling straight down past number 3, the number 3 on the little map, against the airlock sort of interior, and just smash. And as it does so, there's just this sort of spray of water everywhere as the container flans itself even more.
What, down into sort of one area, do you mean?
Into the... well, the container just sort of compresses itself because it's now empty. And it's falling in. And as it does that, it sort of ruptures, and there's just water just sprays everywhere. And with that, the rest of the containers, about 5 or 6 of them, sort of pile out. This loud, sort of extremely loud clanging, clattering sounds, just chung, 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 it's sort of everywhere. As a number of them fall, in fact, most of them fall into where the airlock is, begin sort of covering up the airlock, and the airlock is now mostly covered from these. There's sort of water and bits, and all these containers are all bent and damaged. And they appear to be somewhat bent and damaged before, they're now even more so. But most of these are still intact. It was just the one you put a hole in that completely sort of eviscerated itself. One of them also falls the other way, and you hear it sort of clatter off down what is, from your point of view, just a hole past where number 3 is, and just down, and you hear it chung, 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 away into sort of the distance, effectively. Not quite sure where that one went.
Do I notice any of this nonsense?
You can certainly hear it. It's extremely loud.
I would imagine that
Does water spill out the airlock?
Water doesn't spill out the airlock. There's a tiny little bit sprays out, and then you just see it sort of block up with containers.
So in other words, if they hear nothing, then poof, 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 boom, sort of thing, just shit goes down.
Pretty much, yeah. That's almost exactly what happens.
Can I climb up to the cargo bay?
I turn off my radio.
I just look at Charlissandra.
Yes, you can.
And then I'll just shout, Lexie, what the hell?
Is that an agility?
That is an agility, yeah.
I got my character sheet open on my phone and rolled it to my laptop now.
I don't respond to you, Johnny, but can I try and get into number 5?
Yes. Go ahead and...
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Oh, damn.
And that's a crit as well, so that's a 21. Yeah, you quite easily managed to make your way up into the up to the cargo hatch. Not the cargo hatch, sorry. The are you trying to get to the cargo hatch or the airlock?
Cargo hatch.
Okay, the cargo hatch is a ways up. You make your way up to the airlock, and you can see that on the underside of the ship there do appear to be little protrusions, just dents into the what would be sort of the otherwise perfectly flat underside that appear to be handholds for moving around the outside of the ship in an EVA suit. It's a bit of a challenge, but with a 21 you can make your way up to the cargo hatch, but it does appear to be closed.
I'm trying to radio.
You can probably see, you'll be able to see that Lexie's is not responding.
Can I force it open, the hatch, somehow?
I
give me a
get
moment.
number.
Yeah, you said you wanted to go up to the cargo hold, so go ahead and roll. Go ahead and roll strength, because for this one you're going to have to sort of jump up and pull yourself up. This is going to be based on strength.
15.
Yeah, 15 does it. That's an anti-crit as well. Nice.
Yeah.
So with a 15, you managed to quite easily pull yourself up into the cargo bay, sort of shuffle your way up. There's 1 or 2 containers in the corner, and you see that effectively, what's the big double doors on the wall in front of you? These
Are
huge
the
things.
is there a computer I can access in this one?
There is another terminal. Again, this one has had all of the crates and all of the cargo smash into it, so it's completely... You just see shards of glass across the floor.
Is there a manual override to open the docking?
Um,
Cargo bay.
there's no sort of powered manual override, so... but there are a number of sort of latches along it that you can pull back and sort of open them on each side of the door. And once you do that, you can then physically just yank it open, but it'll be a bit tough going. You can certainly try though.
I'll undo the latches.
Okay.
Just now and see what happens.
Moving up
Hopefully
and
the
down the
fact-
door is a bit tricky. This door is about 10 meters long.
Yeah.
So it's a big door. It's about 10 meters by, I'd say, about 3 or 4 on that. 4. And you can move up and down it, sort of really hanging on. Go ahead and make me an acrobatics check just to get to and open all the latches.
18 crit, so 20.
Yeah, 20. Yeah, that works. You manage to... You make your way up, and you yank open enough... yank open all the latches. It's a bit difficult trying to grip into these tiny little indents that are in it with your fingers, as there's sort of... there's more supporting beams across it, and then just the panelling, and there's sort of these bars you can go across. And it's a bit difficult. It's not really designed for this, but you can do it, and you manage to yank open each one of the latches.
Before I try to actually open the cargo hatch, can I have a wee look at the 2 other sort of containers and see what's in them?
Yeah, you can quite easily see them. They do appear to have small little terminals on them, as all of them do, but they are, again, both of these containers appear to have been at the bottom of a pile, so they've both been sort of compressed, and the little screens on them just shattered off. Or one of them has actually just popped out. You can see it hanging on by one wire, and like 3 of the other wires just snapped. And so you just sort of use the manual hatch on the front. It's designed to be opened by hand. It's a bit doing it because they are kind of bent, the doors on them, but these are actually designed so that you can open them even when they're bent and stuff. You can just rip them open. They are actually really quite weak on the ends.
I'll just use my nightmare sort of scythe thing.
Yeah, you just...
Too much of an issue.
You just sort of slam it in and just use the leverage and just yank it sideways and easily just pop the tops off. One of them does appear to be filled with ration... Sorry. Appear to be filled with, not filled to be appears with rations and some basic food stuff. The kind of stuff that you would expect for long-haul trips. Nothing fancy, just very basic protein bars and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And the other one does appear to be filled just with some kind of clothes and some other few personal items.
Right. I'll take a handful of protein bars and then just kick the door open.
Sure.
Moments.
There's easily 2,000 bars in here, so, and they'd weigh, let's say, 0.1 mass each. So go ahead and take kind of as many as you want.
I'll take 20 protein bars.
Sure. And then, are you gonna...
Yeah.
Okay, Charlissandra, you're attempting to yank the door open, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will tell Charlissandra that I can't read that Lexie's radio is off.
Charlissandra, you would see on the other side some of the hatches. They sort of effectively go through the hull, so as she pulls them open on one side, the opposite side also has a hatch, latch that opens simultaneously, and you see all of these latches undo themselves. Slowly. And so with that, so why don't both of you go and roll me strength checks?
Yeah.
That is a 21 and a
Bad roll.
crit fail. Okay, so...
It's not a crit fail.
It's not a crit fail, but it's bad.
That is a critical fail, not a super critical fail. So you both manage to yank it open. This is very much it's more Charlissandra doing the work than Lexie is. You're trying. You're not really helping that much. As you pull and you actually find it a lot easier to open than you were expecting, Lexie. You're really putting your back into it, but it does appear to be opening a lot easier than you're expecting. And as you get it about halfway open, you realise Charlissandra's like halfway up the door, just hanging on, just yanking it open.
I laugh off a little bit and just pick up a protein bar and start eating it.
Sure.
I was sort of helping with one hand, just eating a protein bar.
I
Sure.
roll my eyes.
Yeah, you managed to get the door open. There is nothing holding it closed or attempting to sort of resist it. It's just very big and heavy and kind of grinding against the metal as you push it in. And so, yeah, you get the door about sort of halfway open, hop through, and it's still there.
So what are you doing here?
Me?
There's a lot of junk down there in the airlock.
Well, you see, that was going to fall on me if I didn't shoot it, so I shot it.
Okay.
Lexie,
I turned my radio on back. Yeah?
Spanner. Keep those on.
Fuck off, you spog.
You need these on in case you crush yourself in that thing.
I only turned it off after I hadn't been crushed. But anyway,
Is there anyone alive or dead in there?
I haven't been down to the main sort of cockpit yet, but I'm about to try and get down there.
You mean the one that's in the floor?
And the number one place, the brig or the kitchen, those two.
Number one is the cockpit area. Number two is the living area. You don't.
Yeah.
I mean, you can guess where the cockpit is because that's obvious. You wouldn't really know what's in all the rooms otherwise.
I would imagine I have some idea, if that makes sense.
You could get a rough idea on the internals of ships. They do share a lot of similarities, especially between manufacturers. So a CE ship will often keep the living area next to the bridge and that kind of stuff. But you wouldn't know the specifics, so you won't know. You don't actually know what's in number 4. I don't.
All right.
You wouldn't know what. Number 2, you could probably guess. You wouldn't know what's in number 4.
All right. I would imagine I know where number 1 would be and what number 1 would be.
Yeah, it's at the front of a ship this size is usually the bridge.
Yeah. But do I have anything like a rope or?
Do you?
I
Do
don't
I?
think we do.
Don't think
No,
you do.
don't. I take out some of the clothes and make a rope out of the clothes.
Okay. As you are beginning to search through them, you do find a. Let's see. Let me just roll the thing. Oh, that's lovely. You do find a rope, but it's only 4 meters long.
I attached the rope onto the rest of the clothes and all that as well.
Okay.
And just try and make like a 20-meter long sort of thing to.
Yeah.
In fact, if that's 8, that's going to be about another 8. So I want about probably 30. Sorry.
These clothes here appear to be for someone very small, and they appear to be for someone female.
So they wouldn't fit me. Fuck.
It's definitely not a child by the.
Yeah, but I'm tall, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, no. These are for someone who is pretty small, and as you're
Gaff size.
digging through them, go ahead and roll me a general knowledge. You find what appears to be just a band of. It appears to be a sort of ribbon that is. It's got some sort of very fancy patterns on it.
Do I get advantage as I'm a woman?
No.
Fuck.
It's not.
-3.
Nope. It appears to just be a fancy ribbon.
I think I know what this is in my. Cause I played another race last time, but.
I think you might do, but
Can
in
I
character,
try
you've no
roll
idea.
knowledge on it?
Yeah, you can go ahead. Be general knowledge. 3 successes. Charlissandra, this is effectively a Zyatendris band. It is a it's a very traditional Dulac headwear type thing. that they wear, they weave it between their Zyatendrus and across the forehead, where they tie it with the... No, they tie it at the back over the central one. It goes across your forehead, under the... over the ears, under the outer Zyatendrus, and then they tie it across the top one.
I thought so. I just
And after finding that, it becomes quite evident that one, at least, of the people who was on the ship is a Dark.
Female.
Female, by the size, yeah. It's pretty obvious.
But yeah, I finished the rope and attach it onto something heavy.
Yeah, you get about 25 meters of rope. There's not really anything particularly heavy to attach it onto here, other than the door, but the latchy thing that you opened, I kind of loops of metal, so you can just tie it around one of those.
I do that, and I'll ask Charlissandra to also hold it on as well, just to make sure. Just like double sure, just because I don't fucking trust this ship. Like, the ship is falling apart enough as it is.
Sure.
But yeah, and then I'll just slowly start working my way down.
Okay, so you slowly start lowering yourself. You get down to the sort of the corridor, and you walk yourself along. You begin lowering yourself down. You get to a closed door that's kind of in front of you, as you're effectively kind of abseiling, like holding onto it and walking down the wall. You kind of come past what appears to be a closed door. It doesn't appear to be locked.
I open it then?
You can certainly try. How would you like to do this? There are a few sort of very basic hand-holdy things on the door, but as the wall is beginning to curve here, you've not actually got much to hold on to as you try and grip onto them. They are ledges that are sloped away from the door. All the
How
little things on
strong
it,
does
so
the
they
door
just...
look?
It's a starship door. They're pretty sturdy most of the time.
Fuck.
From
I was going to try and do it.
Airtight bulkheads, usually.
Sorry?
Airtight bulkheads, usually.
Alright, so I'm not going to be able to sort of swing and push them open, sort of thing.
No.
But
they retract into the wall.
I'll take the rope and sort of tie a knot round me to keep me at this height without sort of falling further down or whatnot.
Okay.
That shouldn't be too difficult to do with one hand.
Yeah, so you hold onto the rope with one hand, you pass it around you and sort of tie a knot, and you get it. It's kind of under your arms, it's a bit uncomfortable, but you get that to work.
Yeah. I then sort of start fiddling with the door to try and open it, possibly upside down. Like...
kind of sideways, actually. But yeah, as you're trying to pry the door open, go ahead and roll a strength check.
Okay.
You would normally have the strength for this, but it's just the sort of awkwardness of the situation.
I'd like to...
20.
20, lovely, yeah.
Just
so
push it open, just like
it takes you a moment, but and you hear the door sort of kind of creaking and grinding as you do, but you manage to open it. Inside, you see a bunch of what appear to have been cabinets that are against the wall. All of the doors are open, and there's just a bunch of stuff piled against what is now the floor. And this central table, which is still there, but all the chairs are just piled against the floor.
Anything useful in the pile
that
I
would
can see?
take searching through.
Can I just take a quick perception check to have a wee look?
Certainly. Johnny, what did you say you want to do?
Yeah, I would like to roll some survival to look for tracks, human, Dulak,
Sure.
what's the Dragonborn there? The big four.
Sure, go ahead and roll.
16.
Right, one moment.
And plus 2.
Oh, natural 20, nice.
15.
Okay, so 15. You do manage to find tracks. You find, let's see. With a 15, you'd find 2 sets of tracks leading away next to each other. And with a 16, you do manage to find a few things that are the more sort of luxurious, effectively. Like protein bars, like the stuff that's actually flavoured.
Ooh, I'll take a couple of those flavoured
Oh
protein
my
bars.
god. Explorer's delight.
Yeah, you find a few like various flavoured protein bars. You find go ahead and mark down that you managed to find 4 lunch bars, which are mostly coconut flavoured, honestly. Well, considering that's the only flavour they come in. Unless you're paying extraordinary amounts of money. So these are coconut flavoured. They are lunch bars. You eat one, and it is all the rations you will need for one day.
Okay.
For a full day. Whereas a protein bar will give you protein, but so it will help. You won't starve straight away, but it will take a while before you start having other problems, such as scurvy might set in.
So do I have like 8 fancy flavoured protein bars or something like that?
There are 10.
10? Oh, even better.
Just mark them down as various flavours. There's like a few chocolatey ones. There would be a few. There'd be 1 or 2 of them that would be like apple. There would be.
I'll make up what they are at the time. Fuck
yeah,
it.
pretty much. We can always roll for it later, but there are a few various flavours. Other than that, you would find a few cooking implements. Nothing interesting.
Is there any sort of knives that could be used as sort of handhelds to try and sort of jam into the wall, or nah, no use?
You wouldn't be able to jam a knife into the wall.
Alright, never
Wall's
mind
metal.
then.
The wall is made of starship hull, unless you're doing more than 10 damage, you're not going to be able to get the knife into the wall.
Fuck.
Actually, you'd have to do more than that because the starship has soak as well. Quite a lot of it too.
But anyway, so I'll just continue down through 1 to the bottom.
Sure, you continue on down the rope. You can get about just past the door, but your rope will start to run out there. Because you only have about 25 metres.
How far away from the floor am I?
There isn't really any floor in here. It just curves down to a point right at the bottom in front of you.
I would imagine it's been squished on impact though, so how far away is the squish part?
There's no squish here. It just keeps
Is there
going
no
till
squish?
goes right to a point. You see a lot of the exterior appears to be slightly buckled. There are a few sort of, like the walls are a little bit buckled, but it's mostly just straight point. It doesn't actually appear that damaged. The seats do appear to be there. There is the one...
Sorry, I'm back.
Okay.
Apparently my sister's too retarded to exchange a fucking ink cartridge.
Oh god. The seat right at the front is broken off, and again, you can see that the back of it is sort of to the wall. The other 4 do appear to be there. They're all empty. You don't see any signs of life.
Can I get like a torch or something out and just have a wee look to see if there's any traces of people being there or dead bodies or anything like that?
Yeah, your gun that you had before. All the pistols and the rifles all have little flashlights on them. It's not very
I would
powerful.
imagine I'd use the data slate if they've got one, so I'm not pointing a gun if there's someone cowering at the bottom or something.
The data slate doesn't have a flashlight on it.
Oh, for fuck's sake, phone technologies went really shit.
I mean, they removed the audio jack and everything.
Hey, I've hacked my data slate to have one.
Yeah, most data slates don't
can
actually have
respect
any
that.
cables at all. Yours would have to be modified to have any kind of cable input. Most of them don't have any at all. But yeah, there would be a little flashlight on the gun. You can hold it by that and not by the thing if you want. But as you look around, there doesn't appear to be anyone down there.
Alright. Anything interesting down there, or is it just...
Not really. There's a few smashed up flight consoles that appear to have had a captain's chair effectively smash into them. They've all been completely destroyed, but other than that...
And none of the computers are working, I'm guessing.
The only terminal you can see is the one right at the front, and that's the one where the chair has sort of shattered, not shattered, like, it appears as though it had been turned around and then it has sort of snapped off and has smashed into it. It's kind of half embedded in it. It's pretty gone.
I'll start raising myself and go back up then, if there's
Okay.
nothing down.
Okay, you sort of slowly make your way back up, all the way up into the cargo room. Cargo.
Yep.
Hold.
That's the one. The cargo hold.
Yeah.
Mm.
Did you find anything down there?
Fuck all.
Nobody's either?
No, I didn't even... Did I even see blood? Or anything like...
Ooh,
That
roll
or-
a perception. Let's see.
By the way, did he check the living quarters? I didn't hear half the shit.
Yes, you
Yep.
did.
Yeah, I checked.
Okay.
They're pretty destroyed. There's no one in there.
14.
14. There were a few little splatters of some kind of dried bluish blood. That's all. Very
That's
few
Dulac,
splatters.
isn't it?
That is Dulac,
Do
yeah.
I know that?
Yes, you would.
Yeah.
It's common knowledge.
I get up, like, I saw a bit of Dulac blood, but past that,
It does appear to be the
Not
amount
much.
you might get from a cut that's bleeding a little bit, but nothing serious at all. Wouldn't be like.
alright,
wouldn't,
minor.
it would be like maybe 1 hit point.
Aye.
That's a
then-
lot though here.
Sorry?
True, actually, it would be a couple of stun, not even a hit point.
Did I find any tracks per chance?
Yes, as I said, you found 2 sets of tracks in parallel. Well, you found a set of tracks that is 2 people, by the look of it. You see 2 sets of footprints, 1 track, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Accidentally clicked the wrong thing in Discord and moved myself. Good.
Yeah, who joined this channel a second ago?
Luke, Sugar, Cycle.
Uh,
Can I try and get into room number 4, the armory, just... Because I'm just sort of working my way through the ship to see if there's anything interesting.
The door to that appears locked.
Can I try and hack it?
Uh,
Like,
yeah. You would be able to plug a data plate into that.
oh, good.
Actually, no, because yours isn't specifically illicit data slate, so you wouldn't be able to plug it into that.
Sorry, there's an illicit data slate. You didn't tell us that when we were starting up.
But
You just said everything was the data slate.
yeah, there isn't in this version.
Yeah, there isn't, so I can't really.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to plug a regular data slate into that. Even the illicit one, to be fair, you'd have to power on the ship to do that. Which would you
So-
shortly find out. You can't really hack through a door when the ship has no power. The door has no power.
Alright.
It's like plugging a keyboard into a computer. You got the input, but you don't have any response. There's nothing else there.
Alright, is there any way, like, is there a lock or something that I can try and pick or something?
The lock is a large. So the doors, it's split in half. It's these 2 doors that sort of collect in the middle,
Yeah.
and then there's this large central piece that rotates a solid 90 degrees, and then a pair of bars extend out from it into either side, and out of that bar, 2 more bits flip up to not flip up, like extend out, just sort of really solidly lock it in. To manually undo a lock like that, you would have to be able to retract retract all of the bars. There's 6 of them effectively, and then rotate the thing in the middle.
That seems like too much fucking effort, right? I'll go up into each of the sort of personal dorm rooms and just have a wee look to see if there's anything in there. Then.
Okay, you'll be
I'll
able to get.
radio in that I found tracks
Sure.
Yeah.
leading away.
You'd be able to get into the nearest one, but not the others. There's nothing on the walls that would let you go up there. Just completely smooth.
Alright, I'll just get to the
Um,
nearest one. Is my, what's it called, my scythe not long enough to go between them, just sort of hook round and just pull my way up, sort of all 4 of them?
Nah. There's like 2 or 3 meters.
Alright. And my scythe's like a meter, I'm guessing?
Is it 2? Technically the range on your scythe is 1 meter, so yeah, something like that. It's
Yeah.
either way, you wouldn't be able to get it up there. You got it nearly, but not up there. You'd be able to get into the
Alright.
nearest one though. That in which you'd find that the bed is still affixed where it is because the bed's fixed, and all of the covers and everything have slid off, and the mattress has slid off, and they're all sort of slumped against the floor. You
Yeah.
would see a few splatters of red blood in there.
I'm
And-
guessing Terran.
Yeah, Terran. And you'd see a number of personal items, although it does appear that some of the drawers and cabinets that are more against the wall that wouldn't have opened have been opened. You look in them and it looks like someone's taken stuff out of them. It's quite obvious that these, like 1 or 2 of them, are still just open, even though that they're effectively would have to be opened to be where they are.
Alright. Is there anything interesting in the sea, or?
Anything really of note from here appears to have been taken.
Yeah. Alright, then I'll just jump out and just sort of go, there's a Terran somewhere, probably ran off with those tracks. Past that, can't really say much. So,
Well, there's 2 sets of tracks down here. If you say a Duloc and a Terran,
yeah.
it's quite possible.
Can I have a wee look down in the boarding ramp site docking tube at some of the containers, just open them all up and see if there's anything interesting?
You can't get to most of them because they're piled onto other ones, and it's pretty tough.
Uh-huh.
You'd be able to get to a few. Let's go ahead and roll for categories. Let's see, you'll be able to get to, let's say, let's roll. You'll be able to get to 3 of them.
Okay.
You will find 4, 2, and 3. Interesting. Okay, and this to check value. 7. That's cocked. That's cocked. 19. 16. Okay. Again, you will find more of the protein bars in one of them, that they're just plain ones. In the first one you open. The second one that you open, you find a large container that has a... it's a large cylindrical container that fills up the entire inside of this. And it has sort of the typical warning symbols on it, which as a mechanic you would know to be... you look at it and it's like it's got the explosive warning, it's got the flammable warning, it's got the gaseous warning. And you sort of move it a little bit, it's pretty light. This appears to
What is it?
It appears to be a solid container of hydrogen. Liquid.
That, can I try and pull it out? How heavy is it?
It's light for its size if it were, say, full of water, but it is full of liquid hydrogen. It is pretty big. This might weigh up to sort of half a ton.
Half a ton, so what's that in the carry weight? Is that
What more do you
500?
have?
something?
Half a ton, that's 50,000 kilos, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking
No.
in a
50,000?
ton of
That's
money.
500 kilos.
That's
500 kilos, so it's about 1,000
I was
weight.
thinking a ton in money, which is...
Okay, 1,000 weight, okay. No.
Yeah.
Five.
It's probably
Wait,
more
I'm
than
just
No.
quickly thinking.
Whatever.
Is it like one of those ones that you get at school or something like that? Sort of like just a small thin one, or is it is it bigger than that?
This is quite big. It's about 1 meter in diameter.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it was like one of those ones that you get out for like a children's party.
No, it's about 1 by
God.
3 meters. This appears to be fuel for a ship, emergency backup fuel.
Oh,
It
okay.
is. It's very big and heavy. You're not really going to be able to move this. Unfortunately, that's actually worth a lot of money, but there's just no way you could move it. Well, unless you can rig up a pulley system, or if you got any other science ideas. I know you're a science man. There's an echo all of a sudden.
I fuck things up.
Yeah, 'cause I unplugged my
There we go.
head.
Oh, genius.
Okay,
Yeah, we're not having a good time here. But anyway, so
the other container that you open, as you open it, you see a number of very small gadgets and pieces of technology. There is a number of data slates, there are a number of sort of earpieces, there appear to be small bracelets, and some other interesting looking technologies.
is there anything that's really... I'll take a couple of data slates because I know...
Sure, there are. You can find 5 of
was
them
it-
quite easy.
Was it Rick that didn't have one?
There was
Or, sorry,
Charlissandra. Someone,
Tarzandra.
I don't think I have one, yeah.
yeah, you
I'll
can find.
pass one over to Charlissandra then.
You can find 5 data slates.
Oh, thank you.
Does any of them have the ability to open that door? Like, a better one, effectively, than mine?
Well, even if you plug them in, it wouldn't work. These
Aye.
don't appear to be modified in any way. In fact, they appear to be completely brand new. They're even still in their
Okay.
boxes.
I'll take I'll take all of them, so I'll have 5 and Rick can have 1.
Sure. You also find some. Let's see what else you'd find. 3. No. Yes, 3. I think. Yes, and these dice hate you. Okay, so you'd find 3 very small black circles, maybe about 2 to 3 centimeters in diameter.
Would I know what it is?
They are about 5mm thick. Go ahead and that is a knowledge roll. That is a technical knowledge roll.
I think mine's 7.
Yeah, these are
Do I get would I have seen one of these before, maybe, or
no.
2 successes?
2 successes. Okay. These appear to be some kind of wearable technology. You have heard rumors of very advanced things. If they have effectively the functionality of a data slate, you wear them on your wrist. It's effectively a
I'll
smartwatch.
take them.
Okay. These are... There's 3 of them. They are... You've heard
put them down.
rumors of these, and you're the kind of person that messes with technology.
Yeah, I'm taking my 3 smartwatch data slates.
And you also find 1 earpiece, and 1 earpiece that appears to be sort of... what's the word? It's sort of connected. It requires a connection to a data slate. One of them that doesn't.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of sort of packing and other stuff. And you find a few boxes that appear to contain... let's see, that would be more common, so we'll roll this die. You find 3 what appear to be just roll-up screens. Which is ancient technology, really. They appear to be screens that are sort of... You roll them up into a tube. Which,
okay.
It's kind of be like, the hell would anyone need this for? Because most technology these days just uses holograms. Because
I'll
they're
take them.
everywhere. Sure. They roll out to about 1 meter by half a meter, so they roll up into a tube about half a meter long. And
they're just going in my backpack.
Sure.
Just...
You can have them in your backpack rolled up. They come in little tubes. And they would be... put like 3 weight down for them. They're not actually that light.
I'm shoving down 20 for everything, because that sounds about reasonable. With like 4 data slates, 3 smartwatches.
The
They're
smartwatches
1 each.
effectively wouldn't have a weight. It would be,
Okay,
it would be so low
smartwatches
you
are-
can discount it.
So data slates are 1 each, are they?
I believe so. That they're not heavy.
They're 1 each. The smartwatches are 3. Earpieces are 3. So screens are, you say 3 for all 3? So that's
3
actually
each.
3 each. So that's
They're big
9.
and
So
heavy.
that's 13. So 50, 65 for me, right?
Yeah, and that will be everything you find in there.
I'm imagining I've got chargers and all that for them.
Most of this stuff would be effectively universal chargers. There was never an Apple, so nobody decided that they were going to consistently go against convention. So all of this stuff works on the same charging technology.
So they don't come by default with a charger and all that, because
No.
I've got a feeling.
Alright. Almost all of it is wirelessly charged anyway. Actual
Alright.
physical chargers are incredibly rare. The screens will need them. They don't have chargers with them. You would have one, being you.
I would imagine I have more, and I would have like the connectors and the plugs and all that to actually
absolutely.
meet them. Like,
Yeah,
Just
absolutely. It's not that. It's just you wouldn't get them. Most people wouldn't have them, but being who you are, you've probably got a couple. They're not that hard to come by. It's
I
just
just
that they're not
imagine-
anything we need.
I just imagine really old-fashioned USB connections for those things.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like. It's kind of like looking at a CRT monitor now and being like, why do you have 3 of these? Why are you carrying these around? What's this about? It's just sort of strange. But you have them.
I'll take I'll pick up 2 protein bars, climb out and give them both to Rick with his data slip. I can just walk off with no context from.
Sure.
Sorry, Charlissandra.
Thank you.
So you're just, I assume, just going to use the rope to just sort of hop down.
Yeah, I'll imagine I'll use the rope to get down, and
Sure.
I'm actually tempted to try and look through the rest of this.
Through the rest of what?
Rest of these containers by using like pulley systems to get into them.
Yeah, you'd have to be able to move that real big heavy one, and it appears there's a few more that look kind of like that, like just below where you are.
Can I open the docking ramp?
You
Or sorry, boarding ramp.
wouldn't be able to, because the controls for that and also the manual overrides are all at the bottom.
Ah, right. Fuck it. Right. Yeah, I just go up to the
Johnny.
cargo bay and just shove the rope down there,
Sure.
and just sort of climb down with a rope this time, so it's not as bad.
Yeah, that's easy enough to do.
Yeah. And just go over to see Johnny and see what he's found.
Yeah, I was
Yo,
gonna
had
go
fun
outside.
in there.
Oh yeah, I found a lot of fun things to tinker with.
How about we go find the people who it belongs to?
I
they
did
went
not
over
take
there.
anything. I stole nothing.
I
Okay?
don't believe you for shit.
I just climbed down. What did he take?
She.
Sorry.
Yeah,
she.
she. 5 non-modified data slates, one of which I've given to you. 3 smartwatch data slates, an earpiece, a data slate earpiece, and 3 screens.
I'm asking that in character though. Or did
Sorry?
you tell it in character? Did you
That-
tell it in...
To you, all I gave you was that one data
Oh,
slate. I
yeah.
didn't tell you about the rest of the stuff.
He's asking you in character what you
Yeah.
brought though.
Oh, I just found a bit of fun stuff to tinker with. Just a bit of tech. Like, there's your data slate to finally get you up to the century. Just, you know, be able to actually communicate for once. So, do you want to start
Okay.
looking at following these guys and see what we can find?
Yeah,
Hopefully they haven't
Yes.
been killed by now.
hopefully. Would be nice to return some survivors to the distant nights.
Yeah.
Let's go have a gander, shall we? I'll have my pistol ready, and I'll start following the tracks.
I'll have my scythe ready and sort of out just to cut the branches and all that out our way
Okay.
and sort of go forward at the front because
You don't actually
I sort of
really need to cut anything out of the way. These tracks are already attempting to take the path of least resistance, and they
Alright.
do appear to be that the more you go through, the more and more this is thinning out quite quickly.
all right.
It
I'll
get-
still go at the front because
Sure.
I'm trying to be sort of like the bullet shield.
You continue down a track for quite a ways before eventually, after about, let's see, about half an hour of walking, just following these tracks, before you find what appears to be a road. Not a road
Okay.
you'd be used to. It would be more, normal roads are what are known as active surfaces. They pull vehicles along them to give them extremely fast speeds. They require power. They are pieces of machinery. They're not just like modern roads in real life, just something just built onto the floor. This appears a lot more to be built out of some kind of bricks. It appears to be hexagonal bricks that are just sort of stamped into the floor, and you see 1 or 2 of these, and you're, the hell is that stone? And then you sort of look along, and after a few minutes, you come to what appears to be a solid road just snaking around. It's about 3 or 4 meters wide, just snaking its way through. It kind of goes left and right, wobbling backwards and forwards as it does. But it does go pretty much just in a straight line overall.
Can we see where the tracks lead us?
They lead you onto the road.
Do we know
Okay,
which
and
way
from
they
there,
went?
Any indication where they went?
There is
Like
there
any
are
muddy footprints or anything like that?
there are lots of dirt and grass and that kind of stuff that has grown over the road. This does appear to be very old, and you do see the occasional footprint along it.
Do they, I check, are they recent footprints?
Do they match?
Success. Survival. This will require a number of successes.
Can everyone do this? Because I'm not very good at survival.
Oh yeah, I'm
Me
on it.
neither.
5.
16.
Charlissandra, are you rolling?
I'm
There's the
I got a
footprint.
-4 in that, so...
Okay, so 16. Obviously, Lexie, no, you've no idea. That is a fail as well. Critical fail.
There's a footprint, I think.
Yeah, they look
It
like...
also could be an animal tracks. I don't know exactly.
Honestly, it could be.
There's...
Johnny, you can tell that these are definitely the same footprints you were following. Being only part footprints, it's actually could have been just animal tracks, but these do appear to be the same footprints that you follow. You catch bits where they see like the what do you call it, like boot prints, but you can't tell anything about the age with that roll. So.
Yeah. Imagine you tell us this, Johnny.
Yeah.
Do you want to just follow them and just see if we can catch up, or?
Yeah, see how far it goes. Like, we probably shouldn't go more than... If we're more than 2 hours away from the ship, then we should start worrying.
Yeah. You don't normally go too far away from a crash site if the crash site is giving you a distress beacon.
Yeah.
Both of you roll... No, all three of you roll perception checks, just as you walk in.
25.
Okay.
Oh, damn.
I got a 10 and a 5. A 10, a 8, plus 5, plus 2, so 25. Jeez.
15 and 21. Okay.
23.
23, 25, and 15. Okay. So, yeah, Charlissandra. Everything appears pretty quiet. You see the occasional bit of wildlife, but nothing much. Johnny and Lexie, you both note some of those strange, as I mentioned before, like jellyfish-like things just bobbing past. In the distance, keeping their distance, and you even catch one of them. It appears to have an eyeball just in the centre that's looking around. And you see it just watch you as it just sort of floats past. Then it focuses on something else, and it doesn't appear to pay you much mind.
Does it seem to be looking at us quite often, or is it actually just...
It is bobbing along. It catches sight of you. It just sort of watches you for a few moments, and then it moves on, and it doesn't really seem to care. It was going one direction, and it doesn't stop or change because of you. It just sort of takes note of your presence. You see a few other sort of strange animals. As I mentioned, you see something with sort of 3 wings, with a wing. It's kind of like a bat. It's got a wing on each side, and then there's one on top that appears to just flap left and right and left and right. You're not really sure what the purpose of that one is.
I'm imagining it sort of twists slightly to steer as well, just sort of like a tail.
Yeah, it's more doing that. It doesn't have any kind of tail. It does more that, but it's kind of flapping weirdly. It almost looks like it's defective. It just doesn't seem to work very well. This thing appears to be struggling to keep itself in the air as it sort of flaps along.
So evolution went wrong. Something very wrong with it.
By the look of it, yeah. It's got this large, sort of serrated beak on the front of it that's maybe the same length as the rest of the creature, maybe slightly more. It comes to a very narrow, sharp point.
Does everything seem to be following us, sort of thing? Like,
nothing
going
really...
in our direction, or...?
It seems that everything here is completely ignoring you. You see a few things that look at you, but that is the most that anything pays you any attention. You even see one... You all three of you see a small critter that looks kind of like a crab. It's got this sort of big shell, and it has 4 legs. Big shell, roughly quite round. It's got an eyeball on the top, on a bit of a stalk that's sort of just looking around. And it appears to have 1 pincer on one side, 1 on another side, and it's got sort of effectively legs in each corner, if that makes sense, for a circle. Which it doesn't. As it sort of skitters across in front of you.
Right, I'm going...
25 centimetres in diameter, with legs. Skitters across the road and just off into the bushes. Doesn't really care.
I'm going to bring out my scythe and start using it as like a walking stick and sort of get ready my pistol, but and tell everyone that there seems to be a lot of animals around us, but they don't seem to be too hostile yet. Just, I'm not entirely liking this.
Sure. As you are, you're walking along, and
I'll also have my pistol at the ready.
Lexie, you alone would see something, one of those like jellyfish-like thing with a single central eyeball. You would see that and one of those sort of 3-winged bat things, bat creatures that sort of flapping along. You see the jellyfish, the bat thing would fly past. You see the jellyfish turn to sort of follow it, put on an incredible burst of speed all of a sudden, just dart up to it. And the massive sort of tendrils and things that were coming out of it that appear almost like one, split into multiple pieces and just wrap around it. You all hear this sort of piercing shriek, and you see this one creature shrivel up, clearly dying, and then just becoming sort of slowly absorbed. You can almost see the life force being pulled out of it as sort of the thickness of this creature, the meat on it appears to just be pulled from it, the skin going taut and cracking in places, the skeleton of this three-winged bat thing just sort of cracking up, turning to dust and falling to the floor as this pile of dust.
Guys, can we all
and the
agree
jellyfish
on not being
carries
got
on.
by those things?
I'm the only one that saw this, but yeah,
You will
I
hear
was
it.
gonna go. Those jellyfish aren't very nice. Do not go anywhere near them. They seem to sort of like suck your life out. Just they don't look very nice. Let's avoid them.
Right. I suppose.
But and let's stay to the road because the road seems to be somewhat safe.
Roads are nice.
At least we can
Also-
travel quickly.
How did this road get here?
Let's not start asking too many questions.
It's probably been built, hasn't it?
I mean, yeah, who built it?
Oh, I don't know
Charlissandra with the pure savagery up in here.
that.
Let's not ask too many questions because that's one of those things that no one seems to know yet. And until we know
Yeah.
it, let's not ask because we've got bigger things on our
Yeah.
minds at the moment.
Like, how long have these survivors been here?
Yeah. Because what am I correct in saying? Standard protocol is you stay with the ship for quite a while.
There isn't really much in the way of a standard protocol. Staying with the ship is almost always a good idea, or you take your beacon with you. Unless
Right.
the ship is in some kind of danger, or there's some reason not to stay with it, then it's a good idea to stay with it.
Just checking. Was the signals that we got in the ship? How did we detect them? Were they just normal, like, radio signals going at the speed of light?
Yes,
They were.
they were light speed.
So this has been here for about 4 years then, at least.
You picked up the ones from the ship. I thought you meant whilst you're on the ground. On the ground, you were picking those up. You were picking up some kind of subspace signal,
So
which is what
subspace,
you
so that would
triangulated.
be-
That's FTL
Yeah.
communications. You were picking up a subspace beacon, which is what you triangulated. Once you were on the planet, to get to it, when you in system, the subspace just isn't accurate enough, and so you were using effectively a radio signal from your data slate that was picking up.
Alright, I thought it was just... Right, never mind then.
Yeah, no.
If it's an FTL signal, that's not too bad.
No. That's what you triangulate. There's kind of two parts to these things for that reason.
Right. But yeah, just...
Sorry, that's my bad.
I think we just need to continue on to this and see if we find them. How far away from the ship are we though?
You've walked for about half an hour at this point.
No, we can go for longer.
I would imagine I would have put like the map onto my data slate. Can I sort of see where in relationship to the ship we are through that sort of thing, or?
You have a map. The map is effectively just a large block of slightly filled in colour. You can see your ship. You can see where the crash site was because you're getting the beacon coming from there.
Yeah.
And I assume you sort of bookmarked it or whatever, so that's there. And you can see the path you took on the map. As it's a bit rough, it sort of jitters around a little bit. In fact, it's actually quite wide, and you can see it's got little error bars every now and then along it, because it's been estimated by your ship, because there's no geopositioning satellites. But
we've got one satellite, but it's not a geopositioner. Yeah.
yeah, you've got a small beacon, and one isn't enough to triangulate, because that is just one sensor thing. Your ship has multiple sensor things on it, which is how you're triangulating, but it's quite rough at this distance.
So how far are we just in a straight line from it? Just
In a straight line from your ship, you actually had to go kind of about, it wouldn't be 90 degrees, it would be about 110 degrees, I'd say, to
Yeah.
get to the crash ship, and then you sort of curve off a bit. So you would be about, following the route you came, it's about an hour and a half's walk.
yeah.
The other way, it would be about an hour walk, maybe.
Sure.
Hour walk. Right. So we're not too far.
We can carry on for a bit.
The other choice is one of us heads back to the ship, flies the ship over, and we just sort of look for them through that.
What?
But nothing. I'll just quickly roll up the data slate and just on all frequencies shove a signal out.
Okay. You just basically
shout.
shove out a burst on every frequency your data slate can emit on, and that which is the same ones data slates can pick up. Funny enough. Unfortunately, you listen. You don't seem to hear any other signals above this sort of very low background noise that's just everywhere, and cosmic radiation and that kind of stuff.
I mean, I received it.
Yeah, you all see a massive spike in activity, but only from from her burst. You don't see anything else.
How long do the batteries last on these things?
On a data slate, they can last. It depends on the data slate. It depends on the model. Depends on the battery. Depends on the usage. You would put energy crystals into them as the batteries. They're kind of small. You often find custom crafted energy crystals that are wider and flatter, but effectively class 1. They can last a significant amount of time. They can last up to like 2 or 3 days. Although
Okay.
sometimes they'll last longer than that. That said, if for heavy usage, especially if you're playing games with the data slate or that kind of stuff,
Hello?
they might only last a couple of hours.
Alright.
Okay, well, if you guys don't mind, I think this is probably a good place to take our break, and we'll get back to it just as you continue onwards. So, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next part, which should be linked in the playlist that's linked into the description, hopefully.